Here we are back on the platform today and speaking with Mr. Ferguson, the superintendent of Rally in the Alley. Godfrey?
You know, Mr. Ferguson, as I mentioned, as we're going off, Jesus had the same problem. He was from Nazareth.
Yeah. Can any good thing come out of Nazareth?
You know?
So he proved. He proved.
Come and see.
Come and see. Come and see. Come and see. And sure enough, he showed them what he was made of.
You are to be commended for what you have been doing over these many years.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure you have some assistance.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Talk about the team.
Oh, well, I always say if you're doing something and you can't get your family to support you, then you know you're not you're not in the right direction. Mm-hmm. And I must say my wife and children, they support me. My father, my mother when she was alive, and my sisters, and of course a core of volunteers who come every Sunday to be a part of what we're doing because they buy into it. They don't ask for any compensation. They come because they like what they see and they have seen result. It is a result-oriented program. You know, gentlemen, the other day, a young man walked up to me. He was coming to us from, he was about 10. He's now about 21. And he said to me, he said, Mr. Ferguson, in the presence of witnesses, he said, if it was not for this Sunday school where I was grounded, I might have been dead. That's what he said to me. And I say that again. He said, I am saying to you in the presence of these people, if it was not for this Sunday school where I was grounded, where I was introduced to the man called Christ, I might have been dead.
You realize that there's some denominations, some Christian denominations, go on Sunday school no more?
Well, you see, that's because, you see, the relevance of the components that made the Bahamas what it is, people think it's no longer relevant. That's almost like saying you have a car and you don't need the tires for the car no more.
But you dispel that view.
Of course, I have to. I told some of my colleagues, I said, if I be the only voice standing up, I will go down standing up for what I know is right. I'm a product of Sunday school.
Why don't we have this replicated throughout
the country? Yeah.
New Providence in particular, Mr. Ferguson?
Well,
you know, I hear some religious leaders on radio and television getting involved in all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And some of them just talking foolishness, in my opinion. But they're not doing what you're doing, you know. They do not have a strong program as you do. They lead large congregations. And they are in communities where the harvest is plenteous. It's white.
Ready for harvest.
Ready for harvest.
Yeah.
But they ain't got no Sunday school.
The laborers.
Yeah.
The laborers are few. But you hear them on the radio talking things. But they're not reaching the youth of our country. And then they bemoan how many murders we have. But then you ask them, well, where's your Sunday school program?
True.
Zilch. Nothing.
Yes.
Church people are letting down a whole generation of Bahamians, you know. Church people are letting down a whole generation. And thank God for people like yourself with a 500-member strong Sunday school in the alley.
I came from my era. We had Sunday school twice a day.
Yeah.
In the morning and the afternoon.
That's the way it used to be. That's
why I tell you this thing is generational.
Yeah, but you see, the fiber of our country was so strong. And it had nothing to do, you could have been an Anglican, but if the Baptist was having Sunday school, when you finish at the Anglican, you go to the Baptist because the central person is Jesus Christ. I keep telling people that.
But you cannot just keep this thing in Woods Alley.
No, we're spreading. We're spreading. I just came from, I was in India.
You need various chapters
well, I agree.
Throughout New Providence in particular.
I agree, but I tell people they're free to come and model what we have and duplicate what we have. Some come, they go. We have 1 or 2 persons who are sustaining, doing sustainability program in it. And when I told a friend of mine in India about the program, he invited me to India. And I already been to India. And we had a Sunday school rally in Chennai, India. Can you imagine that?
Chennai, yeah.
Chennai,
yeah.
Southern India.
Yeah.
And I have the pictures to prove it.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine you in a Hindu-driven country,
yeah,
and you talking about Jesus Christ? Man, that's a miracle. That's a miracle. All because of the vision of what you see in Woods Alley. That's, you see, I keep telling people, these communities are ground zero. I don't care what you could put up, whatever you want to put up. You could have whatever you want going in your 4 walls. If it doesn't spill out into these communities, man, them fellas, they can break in your church and carry all your speakers.
Mr. Ferguson, I came across a young man the other day, and I asked him who his godparents were, and he said that he had none. I said, what do you mean you have none? He said, nobody ever told me that I was christened.
Oh boy.
I said, you weren't christened? He said, no. He said, I don't think I was christened. I said, do you go to church? He said, no, I don't go to church. I said, have you been in trouble? He said, yes, I've been incarcerated twice. I've been in jail twice,
Mm-hmm.
But Mr. Ferguson, I mentioned that to you to tell you that there are thousands of cases like that.
Yes. Yes.
In the society.
Yes. There are.
Okay?
Yeah.
And that young man, and I say it on the radio, I say it now, is a victim.
Victim of society.
He's a victim of his society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a victim of his environment.
Yes.
Yeah.
The environment where he was born,
Yeah.
where he was bred, he's a victim.
Yes.
Let him down.
Yeah.
His parents let him down.
Let him down.
His community let him down. But Mr. Ferguson, it's the same fella who would have access to a gun and who will shoot somebody. And the community will say, kill him, hang him, because he's a troubled man. But he is a victim.
Yes,
He's a product of them.
Yeah.
He's a product of them.
Yeah.
Of the same
Yeah.
people who say kill him.
The
Yeah.
society failed.
The society failed him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Failed him. Yes. You're right.
Now, there are 400 young men who are on bail for murder. And many of them are victims of failed homes,
Yes.
failed communities.
Yes.
But we have the mob
Crying for him.
crying for blood, who say kill him.
Hang him.
What do we do? How did we get here?
Well, good question. How did we get here? But the question that has to be answered, or the statement that has to be made, is that same fella is entitled to his day in court. The law guarantees him that he is entitled to his day, regardless of what the mob says.
Mr. Ferguson, he has been nurtured.
But the point is, he's guilty.
Yeah, he's been nurtured.
He's guilty.
Yeah. No, but you see,
we know he's guilty.
no, he has to be brought guilty by the system.
No, but he's guilty. Let's say he's guilty.
Okay, all right.
But I think the point Jones want to make, there's been grand failure.
Yeah, I follow what Mr. Jones is saying.
Grand failure.
In this fella's view, like he said, the society failed him. And if the society...
Failure all around.
Yeah, if the society failed him, that's exactly where he's going to put the blame. At the
Grand
feet of
failure.
society. But at the same time, society moves on, society goes on, and we have to find solution to these problems. Because as long as you live, if you don't find solution to the problem...
But there's a solution hanging him.
Well, it may not be hanging
Hang
him.
400 of them.
No, but...
Hey, Mr. Eneas, Mr. Ferguson, you remember when people had little puppies, and they trained them to be bad. They gave them peppery food. And they teased them.
You tease them,
And they just grew up to be bad
dogs.
And these dogs are seized upon people.
Turn back on them.
They turn back on people. And you go around these people in the community and say, boy, I have a bad dog. A dog is a bad dog, watch it.
They put the sign up too.
But they don't kill the dog.
No.
Use dog's protector.
But they do the same thing with human beings, you know. They train human beings, little children, to be bad children. Unwittingly. They don't do it wittingly. Unwittingly. Unknowingly. Train them to be bad children. And when those children turn back on them, we say, kill them. But you don't even kill your dog.
No.
That you trained to be a bad dog. You gave him the peppery food and all of that. These are simple examples I'm drawing to you today to show you where we are psychologically as a people. So what are we going to do with the psyche of our people?
Then that calls for a change. That's why I say we have to stop the train. Before we derail, we have to stop the train.
Boy.
That's the problem.
We got to stop the train.
Your program is, as I said, you know, that's why I asked you to come back again this year, so that we can tell people of your program.
You see, for instance, you see the Sunday school rally in the alley that's coming up this Sunday. I mean, to see the enthusiasm of a community that has been what you would call, I mean, revolutionized to a certain extent. I'm not saying we have our challenges, but a positive something that is happening instead of you hearing this happening, that happening. Why not, if you had 5 or 6 communities that had outdoor programs to encompass these youngsters who are just drifting? Sustainable programs, not 1 week and you don't hear from them for another. Sustainable programs, that was what we need. And I can tell you, church has the information.
Mr. Ferguson, some of these communities are not stable in the fact that some of these communities have become itinerant communities where people move in and out, where you have immigrants, where the sociology of the community is in flux. It's changing, right?
Agreed.
Here again, in my era, we were the residents of the community took control of the community.
Well, see, Nassau is 7 by 21. If you go
Isn't that
east,
your community, the residents you can
see, we have to concentrate on where the problem is. If you wanna kill ants that is on roaches, you got to check for the nests, and that's where you have to keep the concentration. And that's why I'm saying a lot of the positive things need to spill over and stay in these communities. Positive things. You see? That has to happen. And we have to find a way to make that happen. Every one of our communities has, like Mr. Jones said, churches. I mean, in some of them you got church side by side. So what good is happening inside those churches that is not spilling over into those communities? You have to find a way.
We have churches in shopping centers. We have churches in apartment buildings. Somebody said the other day, there's an apartment building where there's a church downstairs and another church upstairs, and the people upstairs don't mix with the people downstairs.
There we go.
Let me give you an example.
Godfrey, last question.
You check some of these churches in these communities, and you see the size of the parking lot. What I tell you, they need a big parking lot because the people who go to those churches in those communities don't live there. Right? In my generation, people used to walk to church.
Yes.
Now churches are buying every lot around them.
Because they need parking.
People are mobile.
That's the reason why I said we need more community-based programs. Community-based programs.
Yeah, but the people don't live there.
Well, if you don't live there, but bring the good things from where you live and share it with the community. That's where your problem is. That's where the problem is at ground zero.
Well, Mr. Ferguson, thank you so very much for coming here today. And ground zero is Woods Alley off Market Street.
Off Market Street. Rally in the alley.
And it is the 13th annual
yes.
Sunday School Rally in the Alley.
Yeah.
And you're going to be having bands. And
oh, yes. Oh, yes. The Bahama Brass Band is coming from the east. And they tell me the Urban Renewal Band is coming with 100 members strong.
Yes.
100 from the west.
Yes.
And then
Which rally can hold on to people?
Hope we're gonna find a space. Who can't sit down and stand up? And that's the kind of spirit that excel. And we're gonna have tents and I tell you, it's gonna be something. And our theme is serving the Lord with gladness. Yeah. You know, and this is why I keep saying, passion for community, passion for community, passion for where you came from. I'm a Woods Alley boy.
Bahamas Brass Band.
Oh yeah, yes.
Urban Renewal
from the west.
From the west.
Yes, and they're going to converge.
And they're coming from the north and coming from the south.
I tell you, they're going to be bringing the people with them. You see, and if you don't get there in time, you don't get no seat.
You sound like you're going to have a swell time.
Oh man, heaven is going to come down and kiss earth.
I hear you. I hear you. Thank you so very much for being here today.
It's always a pleasure to be on this
Godfrey.
program.
Thank you. Thank you for watching and listening to our program, and we certainly wish you the very best as you continue this strong program. Good evening, everyone.